You ever look in the mirror and just think to yourself, how much longer? How much longer are you going to be stuck in this same old routine, just waiting for a paycheck that seems to vanish the moment it hits your account? Okay, let's really get into this, because today we're laying out the game plan to finally break free.
Wow. If that quote hits a little too close to home, then you are definitely in the right place. That feeling of running as fast as you can, but somehow going nowhere? Yeah, it's a real thing, and so many of us feel it. You're working harder than ever, but you just can't seem to get ahead. See, this isn't just a feeling, it's a system. It's a trap. But you know what? Every game has a strategy, and every single trap has an escape route.
So here's our game map for today. First, we're going to identify the trap that so many of us are stuck in. Then we'll take on the saboteurs, the bad habits that are holding us back. After that, we'll embark on our very first quest for independent income, power up our skills, face the final boss of business mistakes, and finally, discover what the real victory looks like. Let's do this.
From the time we're kids, we're all handed a script, right? Study hard, get a good job, and poof, life will just be set. But for so many people, that magic never really happens. Instead, we find ourselves in this relentless cycle, this rat race that, let's be honest, we didn't consciously sign up for.
So what exactly is this trap? Well, it's a really vicious cycle where the more money you make, the more you spend. It gives you this illusion that you're making progress, but in reality, you're just running in place, always one paycheck away from disaster, completely chained by loans and credit card bills.
The month kicks off, your wallet's full, you're feeling good, but by the time the 15th rolls around, it's a completely different story. Sound familiar? That sinking feeling as you watch your bank balance just dwindle? That's the first big sign you're in the trap.
And then there's this monster. That constant, nagging pressure of monthly payments. For the phone, for the bike, for the car. It's this heavy weight that keeps you chained to a job you might not even like.
And here's the thing. This trap isn't just about having a low income, it's about your mindset and your habits. So, to escape, we first have to identify the enemies within. These are what I call the 4 saboteurs, the habits that are quietly keeping you poor.
All right, these are the saboteurs we need to beat. First, there's lifestyle inflation. Then there's confusing liabilities for assets. Next is believing you can just save your way to wealth. And finally, being totally dependent on just one source of income. Let's break these down.
Now, this slide perfectly explains lifestyle inflation. Let me tell you about a guy named Rafiq. With his first salary of $15,000, he was actually saving $3,000 every single month. Pretty good, right? But then he got a big promotion, and his salary more than doubled to $35,000. And you know what happened to his savings? They dropped to 0. How? A nicer apartment, Ubers instead of the bus, fancy dinners. His income grew, but his expenses grew way faster.
And this leads right into the next saboteur. Rafiq thought his shiny new car and the latest iPhone were making him look wealthy, but he was confusing liabilities with assets. The investor Robert Kiyosaki put it perfectly. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. It's that simple. A car you use for Uber, that's an asset. A car you bought on a loan just to look cool, that's a liability, and it's draining your wallet every single month.
Okay, enough about the problems. It is time for action. Level 2 is all about embarking on your very first quest, earning your first dollar, your first rupee, your first taka, completely on your own terms, with absolutely zero investment. This is all about proving to yourself that you can do it. This simple, kind of cutting remark from a little cousin was the spark for a young man named Rakib. He couldn't even afford a 50 taka ice cream and had to make an excuse. That little sting of shame, well, it turned out to be all the motivation he needed to completely change his reality.
So, what did Rakib do? He went online and found a microjob site. After just 2 hours of doing really simple tasks, like visiting a website or reviewing an app, he earned this: 200 taka. Now look, it's not a fortune, we know that, but it was his. He earned it, it wasn't given to him. And this, right here, illustrates the real prize. The amount of money was small, but the feeling, it was absolutely monumental. That pride you feel from your first self-earned income, the realization that you can create value out of nothing, that is a feeling that completely changes your entire mindset.
All right, let's move to the next level and see how this all connects. This is maybe the most important pivot in the entire game plan. The money from these little quests, it's not for spending. It's not for a better phone or a nicer meal. It's fuel. And you're going to use that fuel to build a rocket.
Here's exactly how Rakib did it. Step 1, he earned fuel money from microjobs. Step 2, he invested that fuel not in comfort, but in a tool, an unlimited internet plan. And step 3, he used that internet to build his rocket. He taught himself a high-value skill like video editing completely for free, just by watching YouTube. He literally turned pocket change into a career.
So, you've built your rocket. You've got a valuable skill. The next step for a lot of people is to start a business. But be warned, this is the final boss level, and it's where a lot of players fail. To win, you have to avoid 3 deadly traps that can absolutely destroy even the most brilliant idea.
These are the big ones. First, not really understanding who you're selling to and what they actually care about. Second, always looking for the easy way out, the get-rich-quick scheme, instead of just putting in the work. And third, and this one is a killer, a lack of ethics. That's the fastest way to lose all trust and completely ruin your reputation.
You know, that trap of avoiding hard work is captured perfectly in the parable of the 2 stones. One stone chose comfort. It refused the pain of the sculptor's chisel. The other stone accepted the hardship. Today, the comfortable stone is just a slab where people break coconuts, suffering blows every single day. The courageous stone, it became the revered temple idol, receiving honor every single day. The choice is always there, short-term comfort or long-term honor.
And that brings us to the end of our game plan. After all these levels, after all this work, what is the real victory? Is it just about having more money in the bank? The final level of understanding is realizing, no, it's not. The real goal is to build something that's meaningful.
And look, this isn't just some nice, fluffy thought. It is backed up by data. A major Harvard study found that over a 20-year period, people who were driven by their passion were 20 times more successful than those who were just chasing the money. Passion and purpose, they are the ultimate multipliers.
I want to leave you with this really powerful analogy from the former Indian president APJ Abdul Kalam. If you spend your whole life chasing butterflies, chasing money, chasing status, chasing approval, you will just run forever and ever. What's the alternative? Build your garden, cultivate your skills, nurture your passions, build something of real value, and then you'll find the butterflies, the success, will come to you. So, the question is, what will you choose?